So today is Invisible Man by Ralph Ellison, and those of you who did the discussion board, good job, but several of you did not. Several of you did not do the discussion board, and I know who you are. So get on the discussion boards. If you're having a problem getting on the discussion boards, email me. It's pretty simple. If you've ever bought anything online, this is simpler than that. So those of you who did post had a very similar theme, just sort of like, what? You know, you can kind of tell what's going on in the story, but why? Why are these people doing this? Why am I reading about it? What is this all about? And I'm glad you feel that way, because hopefully none of you have ever participated in anything even remotely like this. So, what do we have? We have something called a smoker. And this is a bunch of guys, white men, the business people of the town, the minister, the school superintendent, judges, doctors, fire chiefs, teachers, pastors. Everybody's there. Every white guy from all walks of life, actually middle class. There are no working class people here. These are the upper class town fathers, if you will. They've gotten together to smoke some cigars, and of course the evening proceeds with really 4 different phases of entertainment. The first phase is a stripper comes out, a white woman with a American flag tattoo, conveniently just above her genitals, and then proceeds from there to the boys fighting, and then they get on the carpet to get their money, and then our narrator gives his speech at the end. So let's work our way through each of those events. So the woman comes out and does her striptease, and I think it's pretty clear why men would want to see that. That's not anything that needs explaining. But why do they take these black boys and force them to watch it? It's very powerful. It's very embarrassing to them. And I think the message is, this is ours, not yours, including the American flag. America is our country, not yours. White women are ours. There has long been, particularly in the South, but I'm sure in the North also, this defensiveness of particularly white men, that the black men are going to come take our women. Some sort of sick tribal thing, I would say. And it still shows up once in a while. 10 years or so ago, the Victoria's Secret model Gisele Bündchen and LeBron James were on the cover of Esquire magazine, and you can see he's got his arm around her showing his teeth. Probably one of 1,000 pictures the photographer took. That's the one they put on the cover, and they were widely criticized for it because it's a classic image of some big angry black man stealing a skinny white woman, and it plays into stereotypes and fears, and it got a lot of talk, I guess. That's probably the magazine's goal. So this is a historical thing. We got to protect our women from those animals. Very racist, disgusting, just like a lot of stuff in this story. And of course, this poor woman is dehumanized in front of these guys also. She's not treated as a person. She's passed around. She's very sad. And to me, she's a very sympathetic character. So she is used to show the boys that this is not yours, boys. This is ours. From there, we move into the fight. Now, interestingly, these young black men have been brought in for this battle royal. And one of them gets left out so that they can have the scholar, the valedictorian of his class, our narrator, also a young black man. He's going to participate in the fight as well. Now you might ask yourself, why are they going to have these kids fight? Well, it is entertaining, of course. It is entertainment, of course. It's not unlike things that we enjoy today. Boxing isn't as big a sport as it used to be. But when two people of color were duking it out a few years ago, people paid billions of dollars around the world, pay-per-view, to watch it. We watch football, which is white and black people hammering into each other. College football has a lot of black males on the front line there, banging their heads and bodies into each other for absolutely no pay. Scholarship that might or might not lead to graduation. So the idea of violence and sex being mixed together is nothing new in American culture, and it's certainly well with us today. Think of cheerleaders in their scantily clad costumes, dancing at basketball games, and players coming out, again, they may be white and black. When basketball is a pretty violent sport. Football is a very violent sport, and you have this blending of sex and sports. And then while you're watching that on TV, we cut to the ads, and the ads, of course, have oftentimes very sexually suggestive things going on. So the blending of the stripper and the boys pounding on each other, similar things still happen today. But in particular, what is happening in this fight? What is happening in this fight? They're blindfolded, so they look even more ridiculous. And I think somebody had something here about the blindfold. I think, Connor, very good. I think the blindfold specifically symbolizes following orders blindly, if that makes sense. It does, Connor. Following the orders of rich white men, either in that scene or in general, blindly will have him forever struggling, but never succeeding to please them. Very well put. Very well put. The blindfold from Haley Clark. Thanks, Haley. The blindfold certainly represents the loss of control for the young men involved. Exactly. While under the influence of the powerful elite, because of the blindness, the young men are forced to fight and blindly give in to their fears and comply. So I couldn't have said that better myself. Also, the fact of getting all these black boys to all pound on each other is, and then including our narrator, the valedictorian of his class, it keeps these people, these boys, these young black men, from bonding together as a group. Even though the tougher guys do collude and they let Tatlock, the big guy, fight the smart guy, our narrator. What's that do? Well, the smart, weaker guy, the strong guy, they should make a good team fighting for equality, fighting for their people. Instead, let's get them pounding on each other, and then that will keep disunity in that group. We, the white guys, can keep them oppressed and picking cotton for cheap and not insisting on any equality, sitting in the back of the theater, the back of the bus, keeping away from our women, etc., etc. So having them pound on each other, particularly the smart kid and the big kid, keeps these people from becoming, these young black men from becoming unified as a group. And of course, the fact that one of their crew got left out, they're unhappy about that. And they do get paid. Actually, they get paid, $5, and then the winner gets $10, which isn't bad. But what are they getting paid for? Whenever you get paid for something, it's reinforcement. Hey, right? Beat up on each other, violence, pound each other. Here's a reward. It's the same way you would train a child or a dog. Do something good, here's a reward. You reward behavior you want. Violence within your group, reward that, right? White men, want a little violence. They don't want unification. I said that before, I'll say it again. Why not have them beating up on each other, shooting each other, which happens very often in cities these days. Black on black violence is a huge problem, and it stems from white people reinforcing that. Particularly, we see that here. Beat up on each other, here's some money. Okay, so just to wrap up on the fight, it winds up with Tatlock and our narrator. And our narrator tries to get smart. He's a very bright young man. And all of these white guys, they're trying to get in the ring to beat up on these guys. And you notice how just disgusting their behavior is in the description of them. One is described as like a drunk panda. They're described as wolves, as cottonmouths. These are not positive animal images. These guys, these white men, are turned into animals. By far the most dignified person in the room is our narrator, clearly. So in the midst of this fight, our narrator goes up to Tatlock and says, "Hey, fake like I knocked you out. You know, you can have the prize. I'll break you." And Tatlock says, "I'll break your behind." And our narrator says, "For them?" "For me, son of a bitch." So you see our narrator starting, his consciousness is starting to raise a little bit here and says, "Dude, come on, we got to stick together. These are the enemy out here, these white guys, not us each other." And Tatlock has already been programmed, and that's that. And he pounds on them some more, and they love it. And a couple of the white guys really want to get in there and beat up on our narrator because he's smart, and they don't like that. That's maybe more threatening than anything. Now, one of the things that is so striking to me every time I read this story is as our narrator's getting pounded, blood's coming and congealing out of his mouth, he's thinking about his speech. Seriously, he's thinking about his speech. When's he going to get to give his speech? Perhaps I thought I will stand on the rug, this is when the rug comes out, to deliver my speech. After all of this, that's what he thinks about, because that's what they've called him there to do. He is young. These guys are adults, terrible role models, but he's being a good kid and doing what he's told, even though this is completely, completely dreadful. All right, the rug comes out, and they're going to get their bonus pay. And they get on the rug, and it's electrified. And this is just more, as several of you said, this is more entertainment, torture for these guys, the assembled people. Again, the teachers, the school superintendent, the pastors, all of the town fathers are there. This is not redneck hillbillies. This isn't some stereotype of an ignorant racist. These are the town fathers, the elite of the town. The rug's electrified, but they go for it, right? Do anything for money. That's the lesson that's being taught here. And they feel like I was limp as a dish rag. My back felt as though it had been beaten with wires, like a slave would have been beaten with wires. Now, just to be clear, once in a while people mess up their history. The story was written in 1952. Slavery ended in 1865. However, the legacy of slavery, well, it's still with us today. Remember, we've had slavery in this country since 1619. It's only been gone since 1865. So for the majority of our country's European history, when white people came here, we have had slavery. And the legacy of that horrible institution, institutionalized racism, has continued, and we still live with its after effects today, and will for a long, long time. Okay, he finally gets to give his speech. Let's let's change up our scene a little bit for that.